Yeah, man, cool. Let's talk. Let's chat. Let's chat. So cool. First and foremost, let's just talk about the game in general. I'll be honest, and I'll start with the lineup. I wasn't overly infused with the lineup. And it's not because it's a horrible lineup, but a lot of you lot know, first and foremost, I'll get out of the way straight away. I'm not the biggest fan of James in midfield. I've said that for a long time. Listen, if you want to use it in a big one-off game against Arsenal or whoever, certain conditions like what we did against PSG, no problem. That makes sense. For me, James in midfield is always like a little emergency option. It's like a trick that you have, like a joker. Let's pull it out and surprise opposition and do it once in a while, and maybe can give you one of those crazy box-to-box games that we've seen. Using it as a consistent thing, especially against teams that we're meant to dominate, I've never ever been a fan of that. So I just wanted to get that out of the way. So as soon as I saw that in the lineup, I was a bit bummed out because I wanted to see whether it's Lavia or whether even Enzo surprisingly starts, or even someone like Barco. I wanted us to have a controller in there or someone that obviously adds that value possession. So that was disappointing. Second of all, Pedro Neto obviously started. For me, listen, I understand why Neto started. Alonso wanted to go with this 5-2-3 shape out of possession because I think he believes it's a bit more safe. We're just starting off. He wants things to be as solid as possible. I still think it's like a low-key, a 4-2-3-1, and then obviously just 5-2-3 out of possession. But whether you call it a back three and Neto's a wing back or right winger, it doesn't really make a difference however you look at it. The reality is, that is why Neto played there. Now, Giovanni Kenda, like I said, for me, is the perfect person for the role. And I would have preferred to see Giovanni Kenda there. But the reality is that we know how these coaches are. Seniority gimmick. A lot of these coaches like to do it. He's new to the job. I understand it. You know, you're going to go with experience. That's just what a lot of people tend to do. But I'll say this from now. And Xabi Alonso learned this lesson with Tosin very quickly. All of this seniority stuff, trying to prioritize physicality, using James in the middle, playing Neto instead of Kenda and all this stuff, it won't get you too far with this Chelsea team. And Maresca learned that the hard way, and a lot of guys have learned that the hard way. This team, none of that works. Like I've got sympathy for Xabi Alonso because he's new to the job, so we need to allow him time to learn these lessons. I'm not going to be getting onto Xabi Alonso the same way I'm going to get onto someone like Maresca 18 months into the job for using James in midfield continuously. I'm not going to do that because he's new to the job. You have to learn. Listen, first game he started Tosin, gave him the captain's armband. I don't blame it. You see the way Tosin talks. You see the way Tosin speaks. He's one of the older guys in the squad. He gets on with everybody. You're going to think he's a captain-like guy until Tosin plays and you realise this is why Tosin can't start for us. This is why I've never, ever backed Tosin playing. A lot of people have tried to be sympathetic. Oh, Tosin started because of this, or Tosin should play because of this. I've never been sympathetic to that stuff, ever. James in midfield, like I said, one-off game, fair enough. Normal games, it never makes sense. And I always explain why with James. James is not a natural midfielder. Is he physically and technically top? Absolutely. But there's certain decisions you've got to make in possession, IQ, all of them stuff. James is just not going to cut it there. That's the reality. He's not a midfield. He's a right back. So yeah, like I said, he can do it for a one-off game. But when you start trying to really put him against the best midfielders and think about some of the decisions that guys are making that have been playing their whole professional careers, it's never going to compare. And it's irritating. It's very irritating for me because I'm going to get this off my chest as well. A lot of people wonder why Chelsea, we almost look deluded because we say all of our players are great. Everyone loves Enzo, or a lot of people do anyway. Oh, Caicedo's this, Reece James is this, Joao Pedro's this, blah, 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 blah. The big issue that Chelsea have had, especially last season under Maresca, that I didn't like, and I'll say under Maresca in general, why we never went to the levels that I hoped, even though Maresca obviously did his thing, whether it's Rosino or whoever, stop playing players out of position. We can't go into a season. Enzo Fernandez, who is a double pivot player, like I've always said, and I've never changed that. I'm one of the few people who have never gone along with this. He's an attacking 10 stuff. I'm not saying he can't do it. He did a job there, but that's not his position. You cannot go into a season with that as your starting 10. You cannot go into a season with Reece James, who's meant to be one of the best right backs in the world, playing as a centre midfielder primarily, and expect good things to happen. That's just the reality. It can work on a one-off, but over time, if you continue to do that, at some point you are going to feel the effects of that. And that was always my little issue with Maresca. Now, Xabi Alonso's just starting off. So like I said, give him all the benefit of the doubt. It's early days. But this is something that I hope he realises and doesn't manifest. And the good thing that we have seen, like we saw with Tosin, he learns quick. He learns quick. Tosin's not even in the matchday squad now. Tosin's not getting a minute. Once Xabi Alonso sees it, he learns quick, and that's all I can ask of a manager. Listen, I'm not expecting you to know everything, but if you see an issue happening, make a change. And the fact that obviously Lavia came on and Enzo and all of these other guys came on, and hopefully he would have seen some kind of difference in the performance, at least in possession especially, I'm sure someone like Xabi Alonso is going to take note. And let's never forget, we want a midfielder. If Enzo was obviously going to stay and all of that, Enzo might have even started today. But the reality is that there's all this fiasco going on with Enzo, so we'll hopefully have a starting level midfielder. Whether it's Enzo, whether it's Wharton or whoever, we'll obviously hopefully have that. Now, on to Enzo, like I said, I think Enzo was solid. I don't think Enzo was great. I think he was solid. I think, for me, it wasn't a shock to see Enzo making certain passes, like I've said, because I expect that of Enzo, you know what I mean? But I think it was all right. I don't think it was overly special. The guy that actually caught my attention today was Lavia. Lavia, and I've been saying this. That boy, the only thing that will stop him is injuries. Every time I say this on X, or I'm back Lavia, a lot of people start talking because of the emotions, and I know the injuries, and he's not played for this long. That's nothing to do with talent. For me, anyone that starts disrespecting Lavia when it comes to talent on the pitch, I can't even talk to you. Like, we look at football differently. It's just as simple as that. And there's nothing against you. I just know that you're not looking at football the way I do. If you watch Lavia on the pitch and can't see the potential and talent that this guy has, we ain't got nothing to talk about. And there's people out there like that. Like I said, I'll always understand if people, when it comes to injuries, are frustrated and annoyed. 110%, no problem. But when it comes to talent on the pitch, I'm sorry, I'm not here to be doing back and forth if guys don't get it. Either you get it with Lavia or you don't. That's just how I see it. Shout out to you, man, in the chat as well. I'm seeing you lot. But listen, talking about the game in general as well, I think, if I'm going to be honest, performance-wise, I don't think it was great. I think there's little things to work on, but I'm not actually mad at that. I think you want this before the season starts. You want Alonso to try these things, do stuff, kind of, I don't want to say make mistakes, but see the little issues we have. It's not going to help us if everything's perfect. I'd say it like that. I think we got a new manager. We're going to be building. We're going to change. He's talking about it's going to take time, and it will take time. But for me, is this guy somebody worthy of backing? 110%. And I think in most games, we see glimpses of that. Whether it's against Milan, whether it's in this game, you'll see moments and glimpses where you're like, yeah, this is obviously a guy that knows what he's doing. It's just about putting all the pieces of the puzzle together. And the big thing that I've spoken about in all of my reviews for the whole preseason that all of you lot know, all of my reviews and streams and whatever, prioritize possession-based players. We're going to need to prioritize the possession-based players. I've been saying this non-stop. If you want to see Xabi ball, and this is a message to Xabi, if you could see this wherever he is as well. If you want to see Xabi ball, you want to see your football in possession, if you want your tactics to work, you need players that have that IQ. You need players that make the right decisions. You need players where possession football comes natural to them. They know where to be, know who to pass it to, know where to position themselves, etc., what decisions to make and when. That has to happen. And you saw the instant difference when guys like Lavia came on. Whether you like Gusto or not, very technical player in the pockets that can combine with people. When those kind of players come on the pitch, you start seeing the difference immediately. Listen, guys like Caicedo are always going to have a base level because he's one of those kind of players as well. What Chelsea need, and it's not to say we can't have any players in the lineup that aren't possession-based players, because that's not a problem. Like, you can, that's not an issue. It's when it gets to a point where majority of the players are not necessarily possession-based. If you think about teams like PSG, you think about Man City and all these teams that have been amazing in possession, the majority, maybe 7, 8, 9 of the players are possession-type players. And then you obviously can have your Haaland, or you can have this guy or have that guy. You need to have majority of your guys on the wavelength of possession. What I've seen happen a couple of times, and this is probably what was an issue for Alonso at Madrid, way too often we're having players, too many guys on the pitch where possession stuff or possession know-how, possession instincts isn't there. And it leads to us being too direct, or it leads to losing possession too soon. It leads to us being open, because at the end of the day, the whole point of Xabi Alonso's structure, it only works if you're good in possession. It's like a Spain manager. It's like what I said with Enrique and PSG. There's a reason that he sold Ugarte immediately. There's a reason Enrique's football didn't look as amazing as it did in the first season versus second. If you got Ugarte versus someone like João Neves and Vitinha and that now and there, it's very different. You need guys that can interpret and lay out your vision, portray your vision, illustrate your vision on the pitch. If you got guys that don't understand possession football like that to the levels that we need, and you're trying to play that high level football, especially with Alonso who's trying to do rotations and this and that, bro, it's not going to make sense unless we got guys who can keep the ball, perfect ball retention, make good decisions, etc. So that's a big thing for Xabi Alonso to focus on. And this is the reason why you're seeing us get players like Chavaria, who's at least Spanish, Barco's coming in. You're seeing links to Wharton, Scott, these kind of players. Even in defense, we wanted John Stones. All of these links to these kind of players are for this reason. And I think hopefully we get in a midfielder irrespective of what happens with Enzo Fernandez. If Enzo Fernandez stays, I still think we should get a midfielder and let Hugo go out on loan. I think that's what we're going to have to do, hopefully for me. And it has to be someone that understands possession football. Ideally, I would love Scott, but if it's not Scott, go get someone like Chema Andrews or whoever. Just make sure it's a possession type player, someone that enables possession football. Same thing, I think, in defense. Tosin can obviously go. Let Tosin go for me, no doubt. I think Josh was great today. We'll talk about it. But obviously, if Josh wants to go or whatever that situation is, we just need to bring in a defender who, again, has possession IQ. Because when we're playing these low blocks, I would rather Cole and that defender start and then whoever else start. I think when you got Fofana, Lacroix and all of that, too many guys, like I said, it's okay if you got one of them or a few of them in the lineup, but when too many of your guys are not really naturals when it comes to that, you start to see the effects. You're trying to play possession football with Lacroix, Fofana, it's not going to look smooth, it's not going to look amazing. So I wanted to get that out of the way. But when it comes to Alonso, like I said, I've mentioned this a couple of times, it's Tuchel rules. Tuchel's football looked very different when it was Gallagher in the pivot, when it was Loftus-Cheek in the pivot, Soundegres in the pivot. Very different to Jorginho and Kovacic, or Jorginho and Kante even. And even sometimes that wasn't perfect in possession, but in open games that worked. You need top IQ guys, and that has to be the priority for Chelsea. I hope that's what we're doing. And I'm not going to ever get too caught up on games where I don't see that. Because like I said, I'm going to judge Alonso on the games where we do have those kind of players. And that's why the level went up immediately once Lavia touched the pitch. Because Lavia's that level. I would have loved to see Lavia and Caicedo. It's a real shame we didn't really get to see those two play together for long. I think Lavia came on for Caicedo. Lavia and Caicedo would have been very fun today. But even so, I still think Lavia is more suited to open games where his press resistance can show. I still want to ideally see someone who can really play next to Caicedo with that possession know-how. Now, can Enzo Fernandez be that guy? It will be yet to see. Obviously, Enzo Fernandez wasn't fit today. It's going to take him time to even get used to playing this position non-stop, even though he obviously showed what he's capable of. Is he going to stay or is he going to go City? Who knows? At this point, I don't really care, man. I just want it resolved. I just want to start a level player in there. Now, one thing I will say from now, anyone that can't see what Adam Wharton will do in this team is blind. I'm sorry to say, and I'm going to say it straight to the point. Adam Wharton will be incredible under Alonso. I'm just telling you from now. If you think about what Xhaka was for Leverkusen, Adam Wharton is, he is that and more probably, if I'm going to be honest. Obviously, maybe on the defensive side, whatever you want to talk about, maybe Xhaka's more experienced, mature. Wharton under Alonso's tutelage will do special things. You put Wharton next to Caicedo. That's the only reason why I'm not bugged out about this Enzo thing. If we keep Enzo and Caicedo, we're going to have to run it. And let's just get an alternative midfielder for certain games. If we get Enzo wants to leave and we bring in someone like Wharton, again, I am far from nervy. Because Wharton, for me, is special. When people are talking, I would love Adam Wharton. Even someone like Alex Scott, I think he's going to be like, he'll bring like the press resistance that you see from Lavia. He'll add control, but just obviously going to need a bit more in terms of chance creation. He's going to have to take a step on in terms of breaking lines and all of that stuff. And we'll see. For me, Adam Wharton would be the choice because for me, he's like a nailed on. He's been doing it for 2-3 years. You know, you put him in a possession team, he's going to set pace. Alex Scott, I really like him. But for me, I've always looked at Alex Scott more as a Santos replacement or Santos alternative, which is why you heard rumours of Scott and Wharton at one point. I thought Alex Scott was like, okay, I think that's why we bid 60 million for him. Because we were thinking, all right, let's see if we can replace him with Santos in that kind of ballpark. When you now start talking about Scott being our starter, is it possible? Yeah. Can it work? Potentially, but I think it's a risk. I think Wharton would be a safer bet for me, just in terms of standard and level. That's my opinion, obviously, innit? But cool. Let's move on to some other parts of the game and the actual game at hand. We can talk about flipping... What should we talk about? We can talk about Rodgers. Let's talk about the attack. Let's talk about Palmer, Rodgers and Joao Pedro. It was annoying because I couldn't even really watch the first half properly because I don't know about you lot, but the app was pissing me off. The app was just messing me about. I couldn't even watch it. In the end, I had to switch to a VPN and watch it on Real Sociedad's channel, and that was kind of around 35-40 minutes, so I missed a lot of the first half. But from the little that I did see, I think Rodgers had a couple loose touches. I saw there was one moment where Rodgers lost it twice in a dangerous area. Obviously, Rodgers got the goal. Good for him and getting the goal. And this is what I'll just say on Morgan Rodgers. I think it's going to take time for Morgan Rodgers to adjust to playing in a possession team a little bit. This is the reason why when some people were talking, I did lean a little bit to people like Ndai and all of these kind of players because I just think that adaptation would have been quicker. But I do think it will just take a little bit of time for Rodgers to adapt, sharpen up, get used to making the right choices in possession because he was a little bit rusty, but let's bear in mind it's his first game as well. But I think the reality is what you do get from Morgan Rodgers, and this is something that I promise you is going to make Chelsea win a lot more games. What did you see from Rodgers today? He gets on the score sheet. He makes things happen almost every game. When you have Joao Pedro on the pitch, Palm on the pitch, Rodgers on the pitch, you're going to get a lot of results like what you saw today. Irrespective of how Chelsea play, we're getting goals. We're going to get impact. We're going to get decisive GA from Rodgers, from Joao Pedro, from Palmer. Some of the runs he was making today. Someone that's confident on the ball. Listen, this is his first game at Chelsea. He's trying things. He's not scared to do that. That is what you are going to get from Rodgers. And that's why when you buy a big boy player that was the star of a Champions League team, that's what you're going to get. That's what you're going to get. You know what I'm saying? So that bit was a little bit good to see, obviously, for sure. You know what I'm saying? Palmer. I think Palmer, listen, you have to understand that Palmer's role is going to change a little bit now that Rodgers is in the team. I think Rodgers is the guy that you almost want as that second striker, kind of next to Joao Pedro, looking to score. That should be Rodgers' first instinct for me. I don't need Rodgers dropping deep. I don't need him doing any of that for me. Palmer's more technically secure than Rodgers. So I'd rather Palmer drop deep and do all of that connecting. For me, Rodgers, stick next to Joao Pedro, look to score, off-ball runs, cute little touches around the corner. Don't do too much on the ball. Look to impact the game and be a decisive scorer. When it comes to Cole Palmer, it's almost the opposite. We've been used to Palmer being our GA guy. He's the guy that scores. He's the guy that's... And you still saw him get chances today, which is very good. But Cole Palmer's for me. If I'm watching anything and there's something that I'll put my eye on, I need Cole Palmer to make better decisions. I don't like when Palmer does these little hesitations. Chops in, chops out, chops in, chops out. Overtaking too many touches on the ball. I don't like it. For me, if you're going to be that guy, your mindset and temperament has to change. It has to. It's not like, for me, that's an evolution of Cole Palmer if he's going to play this role. If you're going to play this role, we need you to be selfless in your decision making. You need to be looking to make the right decision every time. It's not about you getting GA anymore on goals. You're going to have to leave that to Rodgers and Joao Pedro. That's their job. That's not to say Cole Palmer's not going to score like you saw today. Being that ball dominant guy, you're still going to get chances to score all the time. But primarily, you saw it with Kevin De Bruyne. You saw it with the best. Yes, De Bruyne will get his GA, but you know why De Bruyne was incredible? Because he always makes the right choice. He always makes a selfless choice, the right choice, the right play. I don't feel that from Cole Palmer yet. And if you're going to be the heartbeat of our team, for us to be the fluid team that we want to be, Palmer has to evolve and mature. Palmer can't be looking to score all the time. He can't be looking to do it himself. Can't be chopping in, chopping out. You need to make things clear for everyone around you. You need to be making the right choices, making the right plays. And that's the evolution I'm hoping to see from Cole Palmer if we want our team to be more fluid in the final third. Because this is for me why I didn't mind, again, looking to maybe get someone. I didn't mind Cole Palmer kind of being that goal scorer and we bring in someone that's a little bit more technical. You saw guys like Ibrahim Marza, I wouldn't have minded instead of even someone like Rodgers. Because I wouldn't have been mad at Palmer being the goal scorer guy. Just go out and score goals. Then you can focus more on that. But now we got Rodgers. If Palmer's going to be the ball dominant, give me the ball, I run the final third. Like I said, the decision-making, selflessness has to improve. That's the truth. And that's nothing against Palmer. It's an evolution he's going to have to make. And it's going to be needed for us to be the team that we need to be. And I'm sure he will. It's going to take a little bit of time. But I have no doubts. He has the ability. He has the talent. I just think it's a mental thing, if I'm being honest. You know what I mean? And that's not to say, because shout out someone in the chat, it's not to say he wasn't selfless. It wasn't to say that he wasn't trying to be open-minded. I think he was, and we've seen him be like that. You've seen him create a lot of chances for Joao Pedro, try to pay passes in behind. But I think it's just everything. I'm not just talking about final balls. I'm talking about patience, when to recycle, when to pass, when to do. It's just real game know-how. And I know Cole Palmer has it in him. And he actually showed signs, but I just think he's really going to need to lean into it more than even the goal scoring. And that's a mindset shift, in my opinion. Now, Joao Pedro, I don't even want to talk about Joao Pedro. Everyone knows OG Joao Pedro hive. OG Joao Pedro leader. If I was petty, I would talk about the way guys were talking when I was saying Joao Pedro's a 9 last season, doesn't take enough shots, movement, blah, blah, blah. Guys were really trying to crash it on me. I don't know if people remember that. I remember because it was me going through it. Guys were really trying to crash it on me. Oh, we told you Joao Pedro's not a 9, blah, blah, blah. What are you saying now? That's all I can say. What are you saying now? My eye doesn't lie, bro. We have signed a bona fide killer. I'm saying this from now. I don't care. I might be moving mad. If your name is Erling Haaland, I ain't scared. Don't talk to me. If your name ain't Erling Haaland, don't talk to me. Seriously. Joao Pedro, 20 league goals minimum this season. That's what I need. I'm sorry to say. That brother is a superstar striker. Sorry. Technical, physical, can score headers. Right foot, left foot, confident in front of goal, mentality monster. Bro, we have hit the jackpot when it comes to the 9 position. And what I love about Joao Pedro, he scores irrespective of how we're playing. That's the kind of guy that will win you a league. That's the kind of guy that wins you games. That's the kind of, from the Chelsea strikers I remember, Diego Costa vibes. Chelsea might not even be playing well. Costa's going to pop up with a goal. I expect Joao Pedro to score almost every game he plays. And he's starting to believe that and have that expectation for himself. I can't believe Ancelotti left him at home, but it's to our benefit that he's fully rested and got a point to prove. Joao Pedro is on smoke. Joao Pedro's don't care about none of this Palmer, all of that nonsense. He's like, this is my team, Loki. That's the vibes he's moving on. This is my team. And I respect it. I want all my stars and attackers to feel like that it's their team. I want Rodgers to feel like it's his team. I want Palmer to feel like it's his team. You want that. So it was good to see that from Joao Pedro. He killed it. No surprises there. Shout out to Joao Pedro every time. Now, we talk about Pedro Neto. Pedro Neto wasn't bad today. Actually, like, if I'm being honest, I can understand the value in Pedro Neto. He's going to work hard. If you want to play that right winger, kind of right wing back hybrid role, because obviously he has to defend in a 5-2-3 even if he's a right winger. I get the value of Pedro Neto. For me, it's just one of those situations where we have Giovanni Kenda. And as you can see, Giovanni Kenda didn't get any minutes today. I would personally sell Neto. I would understand if we keep him, but I would personally sell him because I want us to take a step forward as a team. Guys like Pedro Neto, there will always be a cap on our performance of guys like that in the team because they don't have, again, the IQ that you want. The decisions they make. It's not to say that Pedro Neto was bad today or made any bad decisions. You actually saw the value in Pedro Neto today, but still, I'm always going to feel like we're going to be held back a little bit if we're trying to prioritize the seniority stuff. For me, choose the guy who makes the most sense for the system, who's technical, who's got top IQ, and that's something for me that I loved about Giovanni Kenda in Sporting Lisbon. For me, he's a very smart player, very intelligent, knows where to be, knows what choices to make, creative threat, got an eye, got vision. I just think with Kenda on the pitch, we're going to be more dangerous and more smooth. Now, I do understand Neto. He's more experienced. Neto's maybe a bit more dynamic. He might even be a bit quicker, if you want to put it that way, even though Kenda's quick in his own right. But I just think this is the reason why, especially when we got one game a week, I'd prefer to keep Kenda, man. I think Neto, obviously there were links to Saudi. For me, go do your thing, man. I don't know. James in midfield, Neto right wing. Listen, Frank Sanchez made some good saves, so I'm never going to get onto him. But the way he was lofting the ball, I want to move forward and evolve as a team. That's the vibe I'm feeling. You know what I mean? I want to evolve. I want to move forward as a team. I just feel like some of these players kind of stop us from doing that in some ways. So, yeah, man, those are the main things. Oh, yeah, on the defense as well. I'm going to be real. I wasn't really feeling all of this Cole and Fofana bombing up to support to the level that they were doing it. It almost reminded me of Poch days when I saw Cole, how high up he was at times. I'm not really feeling that because Cole was not the quickest coming back. For me, Cole can hurt you in his passing range. Let him stay back. Obviously, he can venture on into the opposition's half a little bit, but all the way up trying to support, nah. For me, I'd rather see Morgan Rogers and Palestra combining more rather than Cole trying to support Palestra and all of that. So I wasn't really feeling that too much. Fofana was all right. I think Fofana was actually really solid in the CCB role. I was impressed. I think, again, this is another game where we're seeing Fofana as a sweeper and he's doing his thing. Lacroix, thoughts on Lacroix? I think he was all right. I think he was solid. I just think the thing with Lacroix, and I'm going to be honest, and this is the reason why I wasn't a number one person pushing for his signing. I'm okay with it. I don't have a problem with it. I just feel like sometimes he gets chopped a bit too easily. I'll say that first and foremost. And then secondly, he's okay on the ball. He's solid on the ball, but he's not great on the ball. So for me, he's good. That's the word I use for Lacroix. He's good. I see the intangibles. He's fast. He's vocal. He's commanding. I think there will be games where Lacroix is very valuable. But I'm not going to pretend or lie. I've never thought Lacroix is like this elite CB, and I didn't feel that today either. That's just me being honest. I still felt vulnerable. I still felt like he might get chopped. I didn't feel that kind of solid feeling you get when you bring in like those elite CBs. And I've always said that I thought that was going to be the case anyway. So it's nothing against him. I think he was solid. You know what I mean? He was good, but I don't think he was, for me, Sociedad looked like they were causing issues for a while. I didn't feel overly defensive. If anything, I actually felt a little bit more solid when Fofana went to CCB, which is uncomfortable. Because I know there's obviously intangibles like box defending and aerial and all of this stuff that Lacroix will bring. But listen, let's see what happens. And I think, honestly, if we get rid of tossing, we should bring in a ball-playing CCB that's starter level. To me, I'll be honest, like that's the vibes I'm feeling, man. Let's be strong. Let's look at this and I think Lacroix is a very good member. Do I think Lacroix is just nailed on 110% starter that's going to change everything for us? I'm not sure. I've never felt that way anyway. And people obviously know what I'll say on X and stuff like that. But nothing against him. I don't think he was bad in any way. I think he was good. He was solid. He was low-key just what I expected. So listen, shout out to Lacroix. And obviously someone said Fofana looks better than Lacroix. I've always said this, Lacroix is not a better defender than Fofana. If anything, maybe he's more reliable. It's just like Lavia. When it comes to Fofana, it's injuries, it's this, it's that. For me, you know what I mean? I just think, yeah, man. I think, shout out to Lacroix. I don't want it to be negative on him. I don't think he did anything wrong. I think he was decent. He's solid on the ball. He's willing to try and break lines. He's vocal. I just don't think he's crazy. But I wasn't expecting him to be anyway. You know what I'm saying? So, yeah, man, I think that mostly covers most people. You got guys like Esteval. Esteval was all right. You know what I mean? Esteval was decent. I think Esteval's trying to do too much. He's trying to impress a bit too much. That's the only thing I would say about Esteval. He's trying to impress a bit too much, do too much. Calm down, young one. You'll get your moment. Just make the right play. It's like an over-exaggerated version of Palmer at his worst, Esteval at times. You know when Palmer's trying to do too much, or Palmer went on that goal drought when he was just chopping, changing? Esteval. Easy, son. Make the right pass. Take it easy, chill. You're going to get some, for real. Shout out whoever said that in the chat. You're going to get some. That's the vibes. I know you want to be the star. I know that you're the Brazilian guy. You want to prove it and blah, blah. Calm down. Because it's going to work against you. Esteval's talented. I'm not turning against him at all. The kid is literally 18, 19. This is what you expect at this age. I saw some of this at Palmeiras as well. I tweeted about that before. But just calm down. I'm not mad at him. I have no issues. I believe in him fully. But easy, son. Easy, my brother. You know what I'm saying? But yeah, man. I think, listen, that's the most of it. Obviously, I'm sure there's other guys that came on and other guys to talk about. Travaria looked all right as well. Decent. Not too much. Not long enough to really make a solid judgment. But he looked snappy. He looked sharp, aggressive like you would hope. And yeah, man, I just think, listen, I'm glad we won at least for the vibes. I hope there's things Alonso can obviously learn and take from this game. I want him to. I think he needs to. And yeah, man, that's just kind of how I looked at it. And that's how I round it off, you know what I mean? I think it was a solid performance. It was decent. Let's see what happens going forward, man. Let's see what happens with this Enzo Fernandez saga. I think the midfield is going to be so important. I'm just at the point where I want clarity now. Whether Fernandez stays or not, I'm not too fussed. I just want clarity, personally, for me. If you want to leave, go. If you want to stay, please affirm your future so we know what we're dealing with. Because I'm not here to be doing all of this shit to the end of the deadline day, innit? But yeah, man, not a crazy game. Decent, good takeaways, you know what I mean? Yeah, man, I think that was decent. But yeah, wrap that up in